In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make the medium-sized crochet heart. The first tutorial for the playlist is going to be the tiny heart. That was the first one that I did. And then the second tutorial was for the very small crochet heart. And the third one is for the small crochet heart. And this one here for the tiny one, that took 1 round to complete. This very small and the small crochet heart took 2 rounds to complete. And they all started with a magic ring. And in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make the medium-sized heart. Now, if you're not sure how to do the magic ring and you do find it tricky, I am going to go over it again in this tutorial. If you do not want to use the magic ring, you could still make these crochet hearts. You could just start off with like a chain 4 and then just, go ahead and, join with the slip stitch to the first chain that you did so you have a little ring. But I do recommend using the magic ring, and I will go over that again in this tutorial. I'm going to go ahead and set these off to the side, and this is the one we're going to work on today, and this is going to take 3 rounds to complete. And set these off to the side here. To make the crochet heart, I'm going to use a size J or 10 6mm crochet hook, and we're going to start off with a magic ring, and I'm going to use a 4-ply worsted weight yarn in the color of pink. This is the same yarn I used to make the other hearts. This is Red Heart Super Saver yarn. We're going to start off with the magic ring. And to review how to do a magic ring, you want to go ahead and lay the tail across your hand like that, and you want to make sure that the tail is facing down towards your table surface. So go ahead and wrap that yarn around your 2 fingers and bring it over to the top of your fingers and make a little X mark. Then you're going to take your crochet hook and you're going to make sure that the hook part is facing down, and you're going to slide it underneath this strand of yarn here. You're going to grab that one right in front, and you're just going to pull that underneath. Right underneath, and then you're going to twist your hook up on top, right in between the X mark, and then you're going to grab that strand right there, and then pull it right through your loop. And that is your magic ring. Okay, so to begin, chain 2. We're going to do 12 double crochets into the center of the magic circle. Okay, so I did my 12 double crochets. Now that first chain 2 that we did, we're not going to count that as a stitch. So we're not going to count that as a double crochet. So we actually want to do 12 double crochets, plus we'll have that chain 2 when we started this first round. So now what you want to do is you want to pull the tail of your magic circle to close up that center circle. Okay, and then you're going to join with a slip stitch to the first double crochet that you did. You're not going to insert your hook into the chain 2 to do the slip stitch. You're going to insert your hook into that very first double crochet and then join with the slip stitch, and that completes round 1. And the reason why I do that is I think it just looks nicer because that chain 2 kind of hides in between those 2 double crochets. The double crochet, it just looks thinner than the rest of the stitches. Okay. So for this first round, we started off with the chain 2. Normally when you work with double crochets, when you begin your project, you would do a chain 3, and then you would count the chain 3 as a stitch. But for this first round, I actually like to just chain 2 and not count it as a double crochet. That way it hides in between those 2 stitches really nicely. And I think it just looks nicer that way, because if you did a chain 3, it's a little bit thinner. And to me, I've tried it both ways, and I just like the way this looks better. So that's why I do that. And I mean, you can do it with a chain 3 and count the first chain 3 as a double crochet if you want. And that will work just as well, just with, instead of inserting the hook into the first double crochet to do the slip stitch, if you do the chain 3 instead of the chain 2, and you want to insert the hook into the top of the 3rd chain and do a slip stitch. So that's the only difference if you prefer to do it that way. That's also an option. So now for round 2, we're going to chain 2. I am not going to count the chain 2 as a stitch, so this will not count as a double crochet. So I'm going to go ahead and do 2 double crochets right back into that first stitch, and then I'm going to do 2 double crochets into every single stitch around. So when we are done with round 2, we will have 24 double crochets plus that chain 2 that we did when we began the round, but we're not counting that as a stitch. So you definitely want to have 24 double crochets when you're done with round 2. So here's my 24th stitch. So I have 24 double crochets plus that chain 2, but we're not going to count that as a stitch. And that, what we're going to do is, instead of inserting a hook into that top of that second chain, we're going to insert a hook right into that first double crochet and join with the slip stitch. And you can see that that chain 2 will hide right in between those stitches. You won't even notice it. I just think it looks nicer. And now we're ready to begin round 3. So we're going to start off with a chain 2, and into that first double crochet right there, you're going to do a half double crochet, and then into the same stitch we're going to do a double crochet, and then chain 1, and then do a double crochet back into that same stitch, and then a half double crochet right back into that same stitch. So that is going to be the point of our heart right there. So just to recap what we did 4 stitches into the same stitch. So we started off with a chain 2, we did a half double crochet into the first stitch, then a double crochet into that same first stitch, we did a chain 1, and then a double crochet into the same stitch and a half double crochet. So that was 4 stitches all into the same stitch with a chain 1 in between. Then we're going to do a half double crochet into the next 2 stitches. So we're going to do a half double crochet into this one, and into the next stitch 1 half double crochet. So those last 2 stitches had 1 half double crochet each, and then into the next 3 stitches we will do 1 single crochet into each stitch. So 1, second single crochet, and here's the third stitch with 1 single crochet. The last 3 stitches, 1 single crochet each. Into the next stitch we will do 1 half double crochet, and then into the next stitch we're going to do 1 double crochet, and then into the next stitch we're going to do 1 double crochet and 1 treble crochet. So this stitch is going to have 2 stitches, 1 double crochet and 1 treble crochet. In the treble crochet you wrap your yarn 2 times, then you insert it into that stitch. You work your triple or treble crochet, because sometimes you'll hear it called the triple crochet or the treble crochet. Most often you will hear me call it a treble crochet, but it is the same thing. So into this stitch we did 2 stitches, 1 double crochet, 1 treble crochet. Into the next stitch we are going to do 2 treble crochets. So you wrap the yarn 2 times, insert it into your stitch, and then do a second treble crochet into that same stitch. Then in the next stitch we're also going to do 2 treble crochets. In the next stitch it will also have 2 stitches. You're going to do a treble crochet and 1 double crochet into that same stitch, and then the next stitch will have 1 double crochet, and then chain 1 and do a slip stitch into that next stitch, and then chain 1, and then you're going to do a double crochet into the next stitch. The next stitch will have 2 stitches. You'll do 1 double crochet and 1 treble crochet into that same stitch. Next 2 stitches will have 2 stitches as well. So the next 2 stitches will have 2 treble crochets into the same stitch. So this one's going to have 2 treble crochets. And then the next stitch will also have 2 treble crochets. And then into the very next stitch you will do a treble crochet one double crochet. The next stitch will have just one stitch. It's going to have one double crochet. Next stitch will have one half double crochet. Next two stitches will have one single crochet each. And this last stitch will have one single crochet and one half double crochet. And then you'll join with a slip stitch to the top of that chain 2 that you did when you began the round. Okay, and then all we need to do is cut this tail so we can fasten off. And then you can just weave in your tails, or you can leave the tails on to sew it onto your crochet project. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave those tails on because I will probably sew that onto something later. So there I have my medium-sized crochet heart. So far we have done a tiny heart, a very small crochet heart, a small size, now we have the medium, and the next size that we're going to do is going to be a large crochet heart. The red part that you see in the center is going to be the large crochet heart. Since I've done that, I went ahead and started working on the extra large size of the heart, which is going to have an additional round. So this medium sized heart has 3 rounds. The large heart is going to have 4 rounds, and then the extra large is going to have 5 rounds. So that's the part that you see in the white outline. That is going to be the extra large heart. So since I started this tutorial where I mentioned the 5 sizes, I actually am going to have 6 sizes for you. Of course, you can always change the size of your crochet hook to, make them smaller or larger, but you can only make them a little bit larger by changing the size of your crochet hook. So there are going to be some times when you want more rounds to complete your heart, so you can make it even bigger. The next one's going to be the large heart, which is the center part of the red. And the extra large size is going to include this 5th round. So I just wanted to go ahead and show you that. So if you enjoyed the tutorial today on how to make the medium-sized crochet heart, please give me a thumbs up and like the video. And I hope that you will subscribe to my channel. And please don't forget to click on that notification bell. That way you won't miss any of my future tutorials. And I want to thank you for watching today, and have a great day.